During the summertime, the heat goes up and young human beings begin to search the landscape for water resources to cool themselves in. They often take with them toys to keep themselves occupied while relaxing in the cooling waters. Often these toys are themed around marine and aquatic life forms and adventures, so summer usually brings about a sense of nostalgia for those things marine, those things aquatic, and the toys that depicted them. Join us as we at the Little Things dive under the waves and look at the toys of summertime, the toys of the aquatic world.
Commonly thought to have been based on the classical Greek siren and perhaps melded with the Germanic Undine, the concept of the mermaid, generally as we know it today, has been around since the early medieval period. The mermaid has always been popular, especially when it comes to tales of adventure and romance on the high seas. Classical and vintage mermaid artwork has been a common theme since the development of what we can term pop culture. And as high culture began to morph into kitsch, the mermaid came with it. Beloved by little girls, she has become a mainstay of pop culture, including artwork, souvenirs, theme parks, and attractions, film, and animated features. And of course, the mermaid has been a popular subject for massive and diverse range of toys for generations. When summer comes around and marine-themed toys are on a kid's mind, mermaids are sure to make an appearance. But in this video, we will talk about one of the earliest and most popular mermaid toy lines that have ever been produced, Kenner's Seawees. Launched in 1979, the Seawees were a line of 3.5-inch mermaid dolls produced by Kenner Toy Company. The line had no associated cartoon or media product and offered very few tie-in products. But the toys were one of Kenner's first girl-oriented lines. It was still considered a big success. The mermaids had silky, Barbie-like hair and were sold in hanging blister card packages. Only 3 mermaids were offered in the original release. The original mermaid dolls were named Sandy, who was pink with blonde hair, Coral, who was colored in light blue with red hair, and Shelley, who wore green and was a brunette. The original Seawees toys are some of the most iconic mermaid toys ever created. They were made to be played with both in and out of the water. The original dolls did not come with many accessories, only a plastic comb, which were designed to look like different marine animals, and a sponge lily pad for the doll to float on. The dolls only featured articulation at the neck, probably to keep water leakage to a minimum. In addition to these 3 dolls, a floating lagoon playset was also produced. When this packaging was created, the design for the lagoon had not yet been finalized, and the final product would look slightly different. The lagoon playset was constructed of hollow plastic, allowing it to float on the water's surface. It came with several accessories, including a back wall molded to look like a seashell, a sponge coral that could be inserted into slots on the lagoon, and the molded plastic sea creature accessories. The sea creatures were a floating seahorse and a rubber fish that could be used to squirt water into the seashell shower feature that was located on the lagoon's backdrop. The lagoon itself was molded to look like a sandy beach with starfish and seashells. The mold also included holes to put your seaweeds into it so that they could sit securely and even in rough and wavy water conditions, maybe even withstand a hurricane. The Lagoon playset would continue to be offered in its basic original form throughout the entire Toylines run, even as more mermaids and accessories became available. The next year, Kenner would slightly change the Seawees toy line and begin to add more features, diversity, and accessories to the lineup. The Seawees would still be packaged in basically the same cards, but the name was changed to the Seawees and Babies to reflect the fact that baby mermaids were added to the accessories that came with each of the dolls. In addition to the dolls, a new Seawee doll named Stormy would be added to the toy line. Sandy would come with Baby Star, Shelly would be offered with Baby Sprite, and Coral would come with Baby Corky. The babies were a solid mold of soft plastic or rubber. And the new Seawee, Stormy, would come with Baby Bubbles. This would be the only addition to the lineup for the second wave of toys, but the next year would see a large expansion to the toy line. In 1981, Seawees would dramatically increase the toys offered. Kenner would add 3 new dolls to the lineup, as well as a new shell-themed carrying case. In addition to Sandy, Shelly, Coral, Stormy, and their babies, the wave now offered Sunny, a sun-streaked blonde with her baby Sail, the pink-curled Breezy and her baby Blue, and a pig-tailed freckled-faced brunette named Mary with her baby Marina. 7 mermaids were offered altogether, perfect for playing in the tub or pool, or maybe for hanging out with Strawberry Shortcake when she headed out to the beach. The lily pads began to be offered in different colors instead of just the standard green. The most popular of the new Seawees was a sun-streaked blonde named Sunny. She and her baby were painted a bright metallic gold. Playsets that offered unique and original Seawees characters and their babies also became available at this time. This one contained the mermaids, Briny and Shiny, and their babies Beach and Surf. The set also came with a beach towel, a robe, 2 combs, and a star-shaped sponge lily pad. I guess it really wasn't a lily pad anymore, huh? This wave would also include a carrying case molded to look like a seashell. It was called the Seawees Beauty Shell. The Beauty Shell came with a full-size brush, comb, and mirror. It also had molded compartments for the Seawees to be stored in. The outside of the case sported a transparent storage area to showcase your favorite Seawee, which had great nautical artwork in it. The little watercolor-style fish were reminiscent of that simplistic Schoolhouse Rock, Sesame Street, or Yellow Submarine type look. But the next Seawees toy wave would dramatically change the toy line. In 1982, the normal Seawees Mermaid lineup was supplemented with a new subgenre, the Seawees Tropical Dolls. Billed as the Seawees South Seas cousins, the Tropicals came with standard sponge lily pad, comb, and baby, but also a hula skirt and a new merpet. The Seawees Tropicals included the blue-haired Camille, along with her baby Cascade, and pelican-themed pet named Pelly. The silver-haired Seawee named Flora, with her baby Fenella, and sea dog Doubloon. The green-haired Oceana with her baby Sabrina and catfish Caesar. And finally Pearl, with her baby Scale and her unholy seagull and fish hybrid Gully. The sponge lily pads were now slightly star-shaped and no longer green, so they really shouldn't have been classified as lily pads any longer. The Seawees referred to them as that due to tradition. The Tropicals were a big hit, likely due to the inclusion of the merpets and the growing number of accessories. The pets were created in the same style as the babies, and were molded out of one solid piece of soft rubber or plastic. And the Tropicals would continue the tradition of offering unique dolls and accessories with playsets. The Tropicals playset included variants of the blue-haired mermaid named Camille, her baby Cascade, and pet Pelly, as well as variants of the white-haired mermaid Flora, her baby Fenella, and sea dog Doubloon. The playset also came with a green star-shaped lily pad, 2 combs, and hula skirts. No robes or towels this time. Oh well, they're mermaids, they don't really need them anyway. The Tropicals were the height of the Seawees toy line, and the popularity of the Tropicals would earn the Seawees one more wave of dolls. In 1983, Kenner followed up the Seawees Tropicals with the Icy Gals line. The Icy Gals were the opposite of their warm weather tropical cousins and came from the frozen waters around the North Pole, according to the packaging. The Icy Gals would keep the same basic accessories lineup that was established with the Tropicals. Each doll had white hair with a different colored streak in the middle. The Seawees Icy Gals included the green streak Breezy, along with her baby Rory and walrus pet named Whiskers, the blue streak Seawee named Frosty with her baby Flo and penguin pet named Penny, the pink streak Coral with her baby Corey and sea lion Snowy, and finally the yellow streak Shelly with her baby Pearl and another sea lion named Shivers. These mermaids would feature cold weather type clothing molded directly on each doll's body, including mittens and scarves, and each of the babies now featured coats with hoods. This was an innovative take on mermaid toys, and features like these would rarely be seen again. They reused some of the original Seawees names with this wave. Was it supposed to be the same characters? Had they physically changed, and had their babies grown up? Was there any connection at all? We may never know, but this was the last wave of Seawees to be offered. The toy line continued to be produced into 1984, but was canceled shortly after the Icy Gals. And here the story of the Seawees would come to a close, or so it would seem, for while some thought Seawees were our only hope, there was another. In 1986, before the Seawees could even disappear off the toy shelves, Kenner introduced the toy line called Shimmers. Shimmers was a spiritual successor to the Seawees toy line. Shimmers were very similar to Seawees, being creative of very similar body molds and having silky hair. They also included a comb accessory and a small PVC baby figurine. But while the Shimmers toy line would include a couple of mermaids that were very similar to the Seawees line, they were a holistic fantasy and mythology creature toy line, including centaurs, harpies, and most importantly, fairies. Okay, maybe they weren't harpies, but I couldn't think of any other mythological bird women. There were more centaurs produced than any other mythological creatures in this toy line, but the mermaids looked very similar to the Seawees, and their tails were modified to allow them to stand on flat surfaces. The line did fairly well, and it appears that at least one more wave was created to supplement the toy line. Check out Coral and Shelly in the center there. Recognize the names? Coincidence? I don't think so. The Shimmers line was a neat line on its own, and probably deserves a more in-depth look. But for now, we will talk only of these things merfolk related. And so, one of the greatest chapters in mermaid toy history draws to a close. Seawees doggy paddled so that the little mermaid could breaststroke. To this day, When summer rolls around and marine-themed toys are on kids' minds, you are bound to find a mermaid among those toys and pool accessories. But then think you of a time when seaweeds ruled the aquatic-themed toy world, and sit and wonder as you drink your fruit-flavored beverage and enjoy the summer fun. Thank you for joining us in our deep dive into the clear waters of marine and aquatic-themed toys. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe to stay in touch with future content. Come back later as we go under the sea to remember the little things that made childhood summers feel so cool.